introduce her motion.
Thank you, through you, Mayor, and I'm going to make this very quick. This is an acknowledgement of the report that we received from Director Catania about our community centers and the state that they were currently in and the money that was going to be needed to get them up to where they need to be, and that's with the dollar amount now. What this motion is asking is that we direct staff to go to the public and to ask for their input. I believe that if we're going to be spending over $2 million on facilities that are losing money or just breaking even, the people who are paying for that should have an opportunity to say whether they think it's worth it. We have, I believe, 7 community centers for a township of 22,000 people, which seems a little bit excessive, with 27% in tax increases between the last 2 years for our constituents and almost double that for our businesses. I think that this is something that we need to do, and if we don't do it now, then when?
Is there a seconder for this motion? Seconded by Councillor Martin. And I will open it up for discussion. Are there any questions or comments on this? Councillor Wilkinson.
Thank you, through the chair. I appreciate the spirit of this motion. However, I think in past conversations I've said it before. These community centers, a lot of them were built and paid for directly by the members of the communities in which they serve. And to open it up to the public, my concern would be is that if we have an overwhelming majority from, say, Baden or Hamburg, and Baden doesn't have a community center, potentially start making decisions for, say, St. Agatha, where they donated the land, built the building, turned it over to the township. I could not possibly represent my citizens and allow that to happen. So I would have to say that I am in disagreement with this. You know, our community centers, that's an area in which the township plays, right? We will sometimes take on ventures that lose money or essentially aren't attracted to the private sector, and that's why we exist. So I see this as an essential service, and facilities that serve the community in which they're located. It would be a sad day if we start looking at offloading these buildings just simply because of the cost to maintain them. I think there's a real prime opportunity for us to reinvest and reinvigorate some of these facilities to potentially bring in rental dollars or see increased usage. So I know they're expensive, but these are facilities that really bring the community together and are key pillars in the areas in which they serve. So I'd hate to see them go or have that conversation take place and again rely on, say, a majority from outside of the community in which they directly serve, have them have the deciding vote on this.
Councillor Cressman.
Yes, I would speak in favor of the motion. I realize my ward is going to be hit likely the worst with 3 community centers, but I would strongly suggest that as their councillor that I be included in any discussion that staff had at a public meeting so that I can hear firsthand. And I would agree with, I certainly know what the situation is with the New Dundee Community Center. It was built and paid for by community members and turned over to the township. It even was offered to determine did they want the new fire hall in New Dundee to be part of the complex. And so I think you don't want to take away from community involvement and pride and ownership in a facility, but you also have to be realistic in terms of the long-term future. And the one that I think likely is one I would like to hear from the residents the most is Hayesville. I mean, we seem to be picking on Hayesville tonight, but they have a cooperative daycare there, and I'd be interested in, can we provide a home for that cooperative daycare somewhere else? Where's their enrollment of kids coming from? And could it be located in one of our other township facilities to facilitate that? And that would free up repair and maintenance on that facility. So I think these are logical questions and discussions that should go on, and then it's never wrong to have all that information in front of this council or the next council to make the decision, and away we go.
Okay, we'll go to Councillor Sadhu, Councillor Martin, and then Councillor Dunstall.
Perfect. Yeah, I would say this is more or less more information gathering, going to our residents and seeing what their thoughts are. I can understand Councillor Wilkinson's hesitation of New Hamburg residents dictating what happens in Ward 1 or 2 community centers. But I think ultimately when it comes down to it, we will be able to sift through community by community. Who knows what we can kind of learn from this? Perhaps if it's not selling off community centers, it's reallocation. So I'm sure if New Hamburg wants to donate some to Baden, Baden doesn't have one, so we'd be open to that. But ultimately, I don't like voting in favor of this doesn't say, yes, I'm in favor of selling them off, but if it means more community engagement and understanding what the residents think, I am all for that.
Councillor Martin?
Thank you, through you, Mayor Salmon. My question is to Director Catania. And so I guess the one question I would have is, do you see that within your purview, or do you see this as something that you would have time for in the next while? And secondly, the point I was thinking about, or also asking the question, this is for information gathering. Any final decision would come back to council, and so I wouldn't see it as a certain number of community members deciding, okay, this one we're going to get rid of, and they don't live in that community. So I guess I put my question over to you, Director Catania, if you see yourself being able to work on this.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Martin, no, our team has capacity to do this. This is an exercise that we want to pursue it, as much as staff came to council back in September with a fulsome report on our community halls. I think there's some value in looking at all the different settlements and doing a very deep engagement with the community service clubs that are representative of those settlements, along with the general public there. We have some engagement techniques that we'd like to explore, get that feedback, bring it back to council, and see, and as well, with the report that we did in September, we would look at truing up some of the numbers further with our long-term financial capital that we have for these facilities, but also with our most recent operating numbers from 2025.
Councillor Dunstall.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Again, I will echo that this is not making a final decision. We sit here, we talk about $10,000 and $17,000, but in reality, we're looking at $200,000 a year for 10 years, which is almost 2%. And that's with the numbers we have now. There's no guarantee that nothing else will go wrong. And hey, who knows? Maybe this will reignite communities to start using their community centers. Maybe if they believe that there's a possibility that they might lose it, or maybe if they don't even know about it, I don't know, but maybe it will get them more involved, and however it plays out, it plays out. If they all want to keep it and no one has an issue with paying for it, then great, that's the decision's made. Oh, excuse me. I would ask for this to come back in September, because I know that's usually what your next question is.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments at this time? I guess I just want to throw out some of my thoughts. I appreciate the spirit and intent of the motion, and I'm all for information gathering. I guess I have a few questions maybe for Director Catania. You kind of already answered one, which was about staff workload. But two, I guess I'm wondering, how is this different than the work that our consultants undertook in the Arts and Culture Master Plan and the Community Services Master Plan, where I know that they were looking at allocations and space needs for projects. I guess I'm just wondering, why is this different? How is this different? And also kind of thinking of community engagement fatigue. I'm not against hearing from the community, but also I appreciate that we've gone out to them a lot for a lot of different things and don't want to get a skewed perspective either just because people don't want to engage.
Through you, Madam Mayor, with the two different master plans, with the community services master plans, it was identified about the amount of square footage of indoor facilities per capita, and just taking a look at different options on how to either utilize the space for internal programming or taking a look at potential leases for other groups and trying to maximize that space. And if you can't do that, to maybe take a look at consolidating the potential of, I wouldn't say downsizing, but just maybe removing a couple of those facilities if they're problematic. So the one master plan speaks to that. In the arts and culture master plan, as much as we're trying to look at fulfilling more just for culture, arts, and the community, yes, that does speak to taking a look at where we could maybe locate certain programming or groups that could, explore those opportunities in our facilities. I think the issue that we have with some of our community halls is that they're not really suitable. If you're thinking about dramatic arts or any type of productions, they're not specifically venues for those. But if you're looking at one-offs, when we look at maybe any type of art tours or just different cultural events or days, those would be more of like one-off events that we would have at those facilities. So I'm not sure if that really answers your question on that aspect, but I know, again, from this notice of motion and what staff have provided in September, I think it's, if anything at this point, it would be really just having that further engagement and truing up the numbers a little bit more to date that was done from September. And from a capacity perspective, we wouldn't really change too much when it comes to the reporting that we've already done. It's now a matter of actually going out to the different settlements, and that would be a lot of that on my time and some of my team.
Okay, thank you. Given that answer, I will support it, but I do want to note I personally don't see getting rid of the community centers in the future. I'm more interested at some of the opportunities that Director Catania's team are looking at, like naming rights and reutilization and re-envisioning of spaces. But given that staff seem to want to go down this path as well and have capacity, I am open for a fact-finding mission. So we'll go to Councillor Cressman and then Councillor Dunstall.
Yes, just a quick response to Councillor Sadhu. I always viewed the rec center with its community room east of Nafsinger as Baden's jewel. So maybe I've got that totally wrong.
I don't know if you've ever tried walking from Baden to this jewel.
Point taken.
Councillor Dunstall.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. I was just wondering, when does this council become a lame duck?
I'll turn it over to the clerk.
Through you, Mayor to Council, the lame duck period can happen at two different points, one being after nomination day on August 21st and after voting day, being October 26th.
And can you just clarify what actually triggers a lame duck? Because we may not wind up in that.
Yeah, through you, Mayor to Council, it's when if less than 75% of the council is returning, then council finds themselves in a restricted acts period, also known as lame duck.
Any other questions or comments on this motion? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? All those opposed? And that carries. Councillors, do any of you have announcements this evening? Councillor Martin?